How to Live on 24 Hours a Day by Arnold Bennett. You have 24 hours. Just like Elon Musk. Just like Oprah. Just like you had yesterday. But why does it feel like your life isn't moving while theirs is skyrocketing? Because it's not about time. It's about what you do with it. This is your wake-up call. Let's talk about how to truly live on 24 hours a day. I want you to imagine something with me for a second. It's 7:00 a.m. Your alarm goes off. You hit snooze again. You stare at the ceiling, exhausted. Not just from lack of sleep, but from life. You're tired of feeling stuck. Tired of working long hours for just enough. Tired of feeling like the days pass. But nothing changes. You scroll your phone. Everyone seems to be doing better. Living louder. Growing richer. Looking happier. And you? You're surviving. But you're not really living. If this feels familiar, listen closely. Because this book isn't just a guide. It's a lifeline. Over 100 years ago, a man named Arnold Bennett saw the same problem we see today. People were wasting their lives waiting for some perfect time to take control. But what if the time is already here? What if the secret isn't in more hours, but in better hours? This audiobook isn't about hustle culture. It's about soul alignment. It's about reclaiming your peace, your power, your purpose in the very hours you already have. You're not broken. You're not lazy. You're not too late. You've just been taught to believe that time is your enemy instead of your greatest opportunity. Right now, you have something more valuable than $50,000. You have today 24 golden hours. And with the right mindset, one single hour can change your entire life. I'm not here to motivate you for a day. I'm here to rewire how you think, how you live, how you honor your time like your life depends on it. Because it does. And here's the truth. Most people will live their entire life asleep, busy, but not productive, existing, but not alive, working, but not becoming. But you're here. That means there's something inside you that still believes in possibility. So before we begin, I want you to pause for a moment and breathe. You don't need more hours. You need more awareness, more clarity, more courage. In the chapters ahead, I'll walk with you one-on-one through the quiet brilliance of this classic book, but not in the old language of 1908. We're going to translate every insight into modern, relatable, emotionally powerful steps so you can finally take back control of your life. Because you don't need $1 million course. You need 1 hour a day. That's it. The rest is up to you. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The Daily Miracle. Every morning, a miracle happens. You wake up. Your eyes open. Your heart beats. Time begins again. 24 fresh hours. A full day yours to live, create, build, or waste. But here's the part most people miss. This miracle is so routine, we stop noticing it. We start believing we're owed another day. So we treat time casually like it's endless. But let me ask you something personal. How many mornings have you opened your eyes, only to dread what's ahead? How many times have you rushed through the day, without feeling alive in any of it? Arnold Bennett called it the daily miracle. Because no matter who you are, rich or poor, free or imprisoned, you're granted the exact same thing as the wealthiest billionaires. 24 hours. Not a minute more. Not a second less. Let that sink in. Elon Musk. Beyoncé. Your neighbor. You. Same hours. Different outcomes. Why? Because while most people let time slip away, a few people honor it like sacred ground. And the truth is, that's what separates fulfillment from frustration, growth from stagnation, wealth from worry. So, the real question isn't, how much time do you have? It's, what are you doing with it? Let's get brutally honest. You probably feel like you don't have time. Time for dreams. Time to rest. Time to grow. Time to learn a skill or build that business. You might be working long hours, caring for family, chasing deadlines, burning out, and you say to yourself, if only I had more time, I'd do more. But Bennett flips that entire mindset upside down. He says, "You already have enough time. You're just not using it wisely." That's not an insult. That's a wake-up call. Because there's nothing more dangerous than a person who's convinced they have no control over their day. You do. It's just that you've been taught to spend your best hours on everyone else's goals. Your boss's goals. Your bills. Your distractions. You're scrolling. And so your miracle, your 24 hours, gets buried beneath busyness. Here's the turning point. You don't need to change your entire life overnight. You just need to reclaim 1 hour. One intentional, sacred hour. That's where the magic begins. That's where your life starts to bend in a new direction. Even if you work 12 hours a day, you still have at least 1 hour to read, 1 hour to plan, 1 hour to write, to train, to breathe, to reconnect with yourself. It's not about adding more. It's about protecting what already exists. Because no matter what society tells you, you don't need to hustle every hour. You need to own 1 hour like it's your kingdom. Let me make this personal. There was a time when I felt completely lost, overwhelmed, tired, stuck in a job I hated, spending every evening trying to recover from the stress of the day. I kept saying, one day I'll change, but that one day never came until I stopped waiting. And I claimed 1 hour every morning. Just one. That hour became my sanctuary, my weapon, my rebirth. In that 1 hour, I read books that changed how I saw the world. I wrote down ideas that turned into income. I dreamed again. I believed again. And over time, that 1 hour rewrote my life. So I'm asking you now, what could you do with just 1 hour today? And more importantly, what will happen if you keep wasting it? What will your life look like in 5 years if nothing changes? What will it feel like to look back and realize you had the time, but you didn't use it? You don't need to feel guilty, but you do need to get real, because this is your life. And time is not waiting for you to wake up. It keeps ticking. But the good news is, so can you. Let's bring it back to Bennett's message. He says, "You wake up with your purse full of 24 golden hours. It is yours. It is the most precious of possessions. Not your job, not your house, not even your bank account. Your most precious possession is time. So here's the new mindset. Time is your currency. Attention is your investment. Focus is your fire. And if you want a richer life, you must become a better spender of time. Let me leave you with a challenge. Today, find your sacred hour. Just one. Turn off the noise. Put down your phone. Tell the world, not now. And ask yourself, what can I create in this hour that moves me closer to the life I want? Write that answer down. Then protect that hour like your future depends on it. Because it does. Are you ready to begin again tomorrow? Good. Because the daily miracle will be waiting. Chapter 2. The desire to exceed one's program. Let's be honest with each other. You've had moments when you looked at your life and whispered, there has to be more than this. More than waking up just to survive. More than doing what's expected. More than routines and responsibilities that leave you empty inside. That whisper, that ache, that low hum of dissatisfaction. It's not weakness. It's not selfishness. It's your soul trying to breathe. Arnold Bennett called it the desire to exceed one's program. That yearning to break free from the schedule that life seems to force on you, to rise above the mechanical rhythm of day-to-day obligations, to live bigger, to live deeper, to live fully. And if you've ever felt that tug in your chest, that burning question of, is this all there is? Then this chapter is for you. Because you're not crazy for wanting more. You're human, and you were never meant to be a machine. Let's talk about the program. What's your typical day look like? Wake up, get dressed, work, commute, eat, collapse, repeat. Some days you don't even remember how you got through it because you weren't really there. You were running on autopilot, going through the motions, meeting everyone's needs but your own. You fulfilled the program, but you didn't feed your soul. And that's why you feel restless at night. That's why the joy feels distant. That's why, even when you accomplish things, there's still a lingering emptiness, because achievement without alignment will always feel like something's missing. Here's the powerful truth, that inner dissatisfaction is a gift. It's a signal. It's proof that you haven't given up on yourself, because buried under the weight of responsibility is a person who still dreams, still believes, still hopes, still craves meaning. And Bennett knew this. He said that in every person, especially the busy worker or struggling individual, there's a sacred desire to exceed their current program, to live intentionally instead of mechanically. But here's the danger. Most people ignore that desire. They suppress it, drown it in distraction, cover it with obligations. They convince themselves they'll chase their dreams later. But later is a lie. There's no magic day where the world clears your schedule and begs you to focus on you. You have to choose yourself. Now, today, even if it's just for 1 hour, I want to tell you something you may have never heard before. You're allowed to want more. More meaning, more peace, more success, more connection. Not because you're greedy, but because you were made for expansion. Everything in nature grows. So why shouldn't you? Let me ask you something personal. If you had 3 extra hours every day, what would you do with them? Now, ask yourself this. If you had 1 hour of pure freedom today, would you even know what to do with it? Because that's what's at stake here. Reclaiming your time isn't just about productivity. It's about purpose. And if you don't start listening to that inner call to grow, you'll begin to decay. Not physically, but emotionally. Your passion will dull. Your energy will drain. Your life will shrink to the size of your calendar. But you don't have to live that way. You can break the program, not by quitting your job, not by abandoning your duties, but by carving out intentional space every day where you get to decide who you are and who you're becoming. Think of your life like a garden. If you don't make time to plant, nothing grows. If you don't pull the weeds, chaos takes over. If you don't water the roots, the tree dies slowly, even if it looks alive from the outside. Your time is your soil. Your habits are your seeds. Your attention is the sunlight. And your future? That's the harvest. So tell me, what are you planting in your 1 sacred hour today? Is it resentment? Or renewal? Scrolling? Or strategy? Escapism? Or evolution? Let's talk real application now. What does it look like to exceed your program? It might mean reading 10 pages of a book that stretches your mind, journaling the truth you've been afraid to admit, breathing in silence instead of drowning in noise, working on that side hustle you've kept secret, picking up a passion you left behind years ago. It's not about being perfect. It's about being awake. Awake to your own needs. Awake to your own voice. Awake to your one precious life. Reflection time. What area of your life feels like it's running on autopilot? What small action could you take this week to disrupt the routine in a positive way? What desire have you buried that needs to be revived? Take a moment to really answer these questions. Write them down. Don't let this be another moment of inspiration you forget. You owe it to yourself to live intentionally, even if no one claps for you, even if no one understands, even if it feels small. The truth is, every great transformation starts with the courage to exceed the program. So here's your challenge for this week. Find one moment, just one, to do something not because you have to, but because your soul needs to. Do it in silence. Do it without asking permission. Do it even if no one notices. And trust this. When you begin to exceed your program, you begin to exceed your limits. And that is how you start to truly live. Chapter 3. Precautions before beginning. So, you've decided to take your life back, to use your time with purpose, to exceed your daily program, to step into each 24 hours with more clarity, more ownership, more meaning. But before you run headfirst into transformation, we need to slow down just for a moment. Because change, real, lasting change, doesn't start with action. It starts with awareness, with preparation, with the right mindset. And Arnold Bennett, in his wisdom, didn't want you to rush into some high-speed productivity craze. He wanted you to begin from a place of stability, of inner calm, of grounded self-honesty. This chapter is your warning, your compass, Your anchor before the wind starts to blow. Let's start with a simple truth. Don't try to do too much, too soon. That's one of the biggest traps in self-improvement. You get inspired. You watch a video, read a quote, hear a voice that lights a fire inside you. And suddenly, you plan to wake up at 5 a.m., work out for 2 hours, start a business, write a book, learn French, and meditate for 30 minutes, all before breakfast. But guess what? That kind of drastic change rarely lasts, because transformation isn't a sprint. It's a rhythm, a slow, beautiful unfolding. Trying to fix your entire life in 1 week will only lead to burnout, shame, and disappointment. That's not how we're doing things here. Here, we start small, and we stay consistent. Let me ask you, what would feel easier for you right now? Spending 10 minutes a day improving yourself consistently for 30 days? Or spending 3 hours one day and quitting by the end of the week? Exactly. Consistency always wins. So here's the precaution Bennett offers, and I'm echoing it to you from the heart. Start with 1 hour a day. Not 3. Not 6. 1. Protect it. Make it yours. Treat it like it's sacred. And once that becomes your new normal, you'll naturally find more hours to build with. But don't rush it. You've got the rest of your life. Another thing to keep in mind, this is not about perfection. You're going to miss some days. You're going to oversleep. You'll get sick or tired, or life will throw chaos in your face. And that's okay. The goal is not to create a perfect schedule. The goal is to keep coming back to yourself, over and over, gently, without shame. You don't need guilt. You need grace. This journey is not about punishment. It's about alignment. It's about choosing to show up for yourself, even when it's messy. Especially when it's messy. Let's talk about another trap. Thinking you need motivation to begin. You don't. You just need momentum. Action creates motivation, not the other way around. So if you're waiting for the perfect mood, the perfect timing, the perfect energy, you'll wait forever. Instead, just start. Open the book. Write the sentence. Stretch your body. Set the timer, even if it's just 10 minutes, even if your heart's not in it. Because once you start, the magic kicks in. Your brain begins to shift. Your mood begins to lift. Your identity begins to change. And that is how transformation begins quietly. There's another important reminder. Don't expect applause. This is your private revolution. Your quiet rebellion against mediocrity. And most of the world won't understand it. People might question why you're waking up early, why you're reading self-help books, why you're writing in a journal, why you're starting that side hustle or learning that new skill. Let them. You don't owe anyone an explanation. The life you're building, it's not for them. It's for the version of you that's been begging to breathe. So please don't let anyone's confusion water down your clarity. Now, one more thing. Be gentle with yourself. You're not behind. You're not too late. You're not broken. You're just beginning. And beginnings are sacred. You're learning how to live again, intentionally, mindfully, purposefully. And that takes time. So celebrate your small wins. Celebrate showing up. Celebrate turning off your phone. Celebrate that one journal entry, that one YouTube tutorial, that one page of reading. Every single act of intentional living is a vote for your future. So stack those votes. Build that identity. Let's make this real with a few reflection questions. What's one small, realistic commitment I can make for the next 7 days? What tends to sabotage my progress? And how can I plan for it? What does success feel like to me, not just look like? Write your answers down. Sit with them. Let them guide your approach. Here's your challenge for this chapter. Create your personal hour ritual. What will you do with your one sacred hour? Will you read? Will you build your business? Will you meditate? Will you work on your health? Write it down. Make it simple. Make it repeatable. And most importantly, protect it. Even if it means waking up 30 minutes earlier. Even if it means saying no to someone else's urgency. Even if it means putting your phone on airplane mode, this is your foundation, your hour, your future. So treat it with the love and respect it deserves. Because how you treat this hour is how you teach life to treat you. Chapter 4. The Cause of the Trouble. Let's talk truth. Because there's no transformation without confrontation, you're here because something inside you wants to change. But what's been standing in your way? What's really causing the trouble? Arnold Bennett doesn't sugarcoat it. He points his finger directly at the root of the problem. And no, it's not time. It's not your job. It's not even your responsibilities. It's your mindset about time. It's how you think about your day, how you believe your time is already used up before you've even had the chance to claim it. And that belief? That's the real enemy. Let's walk through a common example. You wake up, you already feel behind. So you rush. Emails, commute, work, more work. By evening, you're drained. You barely have the strength to eat, scroll your phone, and maybe watch something to forget the day. You tell yourself you're too tired to do anything meaningful. And you repeat the cycle over and over and over. You've convinced yourself that the hours before and after work aren't real hours, that they're just leftover scraps of the day. But let me say this gently and firmly. That's a lie. You have time. You just haven't seen its value yet. Bennett says, most people suffer from mental dishonesty when it comes to their schedule. We say we have no time. But if someone offered you $50,000 to create a 1-hour routine, you'd find the time. You'd make it work. You'd protect it fiercely. So why don't we do that for our own lives? It's not because we're incapable. It's because we don't believe our own development is worth that level of commitment. Oof, that hurts, right? But it's also freeing, because if the problem is your belief, then you can change it. You're not stuck. You're just operating from old thinking. Here's the truth Bennett drives home. We think of our workday as the main event, and everything else is filler. So we neglect the mornings. We waste the evenings. And we tell ourselves, we'll live later. But life is now. Not after work. Not after retirement. Not next year. Now. The minutes passing as you listen to this. This is life. And if you're not choosing how to use it, someone else is choosing for you. Let's be brutally clear. You cannot blame your job, your boss, or your schedule forever. Even if you work 10, 12, or 14 hours a day, you still have time. You still have morning. You still have evening. You still have micro moments. But most people waste these windows on distractions, not because they don't care, but because they're numb. They've become passive in their own life. They've surrendered their time to urgency, convenience, and comfort. Let's slow this down. When was the last time you used 30 minutes at night to nourish your soul? When was the last time you read something that lit a fire in you, not just scrolled endlessly? When was the last time you sat in silence and asked, what do I really want? These aren't just romantic ideas. They're lifelines. And if you ignore them for too long, life becomes noise, a blur, a grind, a cycle of unconscious survival. But the moment you see the cause of the trouble is the moment you can begin to take back control. Let me say this to you with love. You don't need more discipline right now. You need more intention. You don't need a stricter routine. You need awareness. You need to remember that time is not the enemy. You are not fighting time. You are fighting the belief that you have none. And that belief, it dies the moment you stop telling yourself, I'm too busy, and start asking, what do I really value? Because we always make time for what we value. Always. Here's a quick challenge. For the next 2 days, carry a small notebook or open a notes app and write down how you actually spend your time. From waking up to going to bed, track the real moments. Scrolling, .tv, gossip, worrying, multitasking, waiting in line, overthinking. Not to shame yourself, but to see yourself. Because when you truly see how much time slips through the cracks, you'll start to realize how much potential you've had all along. Let's reflect together. What beliefs have you held about time that might not be true? What hour of your day do you currently undervalue the most? What would it look like if you gave that hour new meaning? Here's your final takeaway from this chapter. You are not powerless. You are not too busy. You are not too late. You've simply been taught to believe that your time belongs to everything and everyone but you. But now, you know better. So the question is, will you keep saying, I don't have time? Or will you start saying, I choose how I use my time because this is my life. Choose boldly. Choose consciously. Because your future is being built 1 hour at a time. Chapter 5. Tennis and the Immortal Soul. Life isn't just about work and schedules. It isn't just about maximizing every second with efficiency. It's about living, truly living. And in this chapter, Arnold Bennett does something unexpected. He talks about tennis. Yes, tennis. At first glance, it seems odd, doesn't it? How does a game, a leisurely activity, belong in a book about using your 24 hours wisely? But then, it clicks. Because what Bennett is really talking about is balance. The sacred balance between the body and the soul, between discipline and delight, between doing and being. Let's start with this question. When's the last time you did something just for joy? Not for money, not for productivity, not for anyone's approval, just joy. When's the last time you played a game? Danced? Painted? Laughed? Walked barefoot through the grass? You see, the soul isn't just fed by goals and hustle. It's also fed by moments of lightness. And Bennett knew that when you spend all your time in the serious zone, you risk becoming hollow. Efficient? Maybe. But alive? Not really. He gives the example of a man playing tennis in the early evening. He says it's a great way to spend time. Why? Because it engages the body, refreshes the mind, and provides a break from the mental grind. It's not about tennis itself. It could be anything. Gardening, swimming, singing, riding a bike, cooking a beautiful meal with music playing. These aren't distractions from real life. They are life. And when you engage in these things, you're not wasting time. You're honoring your humanity. You're remembering that you're more than a machine. You're a soul in a body, living a miracle of a life. Let's break this down. There are two main parts of you that need nourishment every day. Your body through movement, rest, nutrition, pleasure. Your soul through learning, reflection, connection, creativity. Neglect either one, and you feel off, drained, disconnected. Many people spend their days completely ignoring their bodies, sitting, slouching, hunched over screens. And just as many ignore their souls, never pausing to reflect, to create, to feel. No wonder so many people feel like they're existing instead of living. But you're different. You're awakening to the idea that the way you use your time must serve both parts of you, because that is how you feel whole again. Now, don't get it twisted. This isn't permission to binge on leisure endlessly. Bennett is very clear on that too. There's a difference between rest and escape. Tennis, for example, is intentional, engaging, energizing. But endless hours of mindless scrolling or TV, that doesn't feed your soul. It just numbs it. One refreshes, the other robs. So your mission is to begin choosing joy that nourishes instead of distractions that drain. Here's something I want you to do. Make a list of 5 things that light you up. Activities that make you feel more you. Not your partner, not your kids, not society. You. Think back to childhood, if you need to. What did you love before the world told you to be productive all the time? That's the soul whispering. That's the joy you've been starved of. Now imagine carving out time every week, even just 30 minutes to do one of those things. How different would your energy feel? Your creativity? Your happiness? This isn't selfish. This is sacred maintenance of the self. Let's get real again. If your only time outside is walking from your car to the office door, you're not living. If the only time you move your body is to adjust your posture while working, you're not honoring your vessel. If the only joy you feel is from digital noise, you're starving your soul. So yes, Bennett talks about tennis. But what he's really saying is this. You were never meant to just work, pay bills, and die. You were meant to move, to breathe, to play, to create, to love, to live. And these sacred activities, they aren't separate from success. They fuel it. They restore you so you can rise again. Let's reflect. What joyful activity have I been neglecting that I could return to this week? What's one way I can move my body daily, not for results, but for release? How can I balance soul and schedule in my current routine? Here's your challenge for this chapter. Create a soulful joy list. Write down 5 activities that bring you joy, movement, or peace. Pick one to do this week. Make it short. Make it light. Make it fun. No pressure. No performance. Just play. Then watch how your entire mood shifts. Because when you choose joy with intention, you remember what it means to feel alive. And you're not here just to get through the day. You're here to light it up from the inside out. Chapter 6. Remember human nature. Let me tell you something that might shock you. You're not a robot. You're not a machine built to run flawlessly every single day. You are human. And human beings? We're complex, emotional, messy, beautifully inconsistent. And that's okay. In fact, it's essential to remember this truth, especially when you begin the journey of reclaiming your time. Because if you forget your human nature, you'll start expecting perfection. And perfection? It's a lie that leads to burnout, shame, and quitting. Arnold Bennett, in his quiet wisdom, reminds us, you are not the only person who finds it difficult to follow through. You are simply human. That one sentence can change everything. You see, most people start strong. They make big plans, set powerful intentions, map out their sacred hour, and then something happens. They oversleep. They get distracted. They miss a day. They fall off track. And what do? They beat themselves up. They say, I'm a failure. I knew I couldn't do this. What's the point of trying? But let me speak to that part of you right now. You are allowed to be imperfect. In fact, being imperfect is part of the process. Let's make this real. Have you ever started a workout plan only to give up after missing 2 days? Or tried waking up early, failed twice, and decided you're just not a morning person? Or set a goal to read more, then didn't touch a book for a week and felt too guilty to start again? That's not failure. That's human nature. And instead of fighting it, you must work with it. Because success isn't about never falling. It's about how quickly you get back up. Every single time. Here's the mindset shift. You will slip. You will forget. You will be tempted to quit. That's normal. But instead of starting over from scratch every time, you simply resume. You continue. You pick up where you left off. No guilt, no drama, no shame. Just grace. Just growth. Because transformation happens in the returning, in the repetition, in the rhythm, not the rigidity. There's another important reminder from Bennett. Do not imagine that you can wake up tomorrow and instantly become the master of your hours. Time will resist you. Distractions will chase you. Your old self will whisper lies. But keep going. That old self? It doesn't want to die. It's comfortable in chaos, familiar with delay, used to the routine of scrolling, numbing, avoiding. So when you try to change, it panics. It will tell you, you've always been this way. You're too lazy. You'll fail again. Don't listen. That voice is not truth. It's just habit. And habits can be changed with compassion and consistency. Let's reflect together for a moment. What story have you told yourself about why you always quit? Can you see now that it wasn't weakness, but a lack of understanding your own humanity? What would change if you gave yourself permission to be messy but consistent? Think about it. If a child was learning to walk and they fell down 10 times, would you say they're a failure? Of course not. You'd cheer them on. You'd help them stand again. So why not offer yourself that same love? Let me tell you something radical. You don't need to earn rest. You don't need to deserve joy. You don't need to be perfect to be worthy of growth. You just need to keep showing up, even if it's with trembling hands and tired eyes, even if it's slower than you hoped, even if it doesn't look impressive. Because every time you return to your intention, you are rewiring your future. And here's a powerful truth Bennett knew. Change begins quietly. No fireworks. No praise. No applause. Just a moment. One moment of choosing growth over guilt. Action over avoidance. Grace over perfection. That's where the magic begins. Here's your challenge for this week. Choose a new mantra. Something to repeat when you mess up, when you miss a day, when your old patterns try to drag you back. Try one of these. Progress, not perfection. I start again with love. I fall, I rise, I continue. My humanity is not a weakness. It's a reminder. Write it down. Say it out loud. Use it when your inner critic starts shouting. Because you are not behind. You are not broken. You're simply human. And being human is enough. So as you move forward, remember, don't fear failure. Fear giving up because you expected perfection. You don't need to be flawless. You just need to be faithful to the process. You're not building a perfect life. You're building a resilient one. And resilience? It's made of softness and strength. So, give yourself permission to be a glorious, imperfect, powerful human, 1 hour at a time. Chapter 7. Controlling the mind. Let's talk about the battlefield that matters most. Not your workplace, not your home, not your bank account, but your mind. Because here's the truth. If you can't control your mind, you'll never truly control your life. Arnold Bennett knew this over a century ago. He said, "The mind is at once your best friend and your worst enemy. It's where every decision begins, where every habit is born, where every hour is either reclaimed or wasted." So let me ask you, have you ever sat down to read or work on your dream, and 5 minutes in, your thoughts wander? You remember a bill to pay. You hear a notification. You start wondering what's for dinner, and suddenly, it's been 30 minutes, and nothing's done. That's not laziness. That's untrained attention, and that is the modern epidemic. We live in a world of endless distraction, buzzes, pings, notifications, headlines, noise. Everyone wants your attention because your attention is power. It's currency. It's creativity. It's clarity. And if you don't protect it, the world will rent it for free. So here's the hard truth. If you cannot direct your thoughts, you will be directed by the thoughts of others. Let's get personal. Your mind is a garden. Every thought is a seed. Some seeds grow flowers. Others grow weeds. If you don't tend it daily, weeds win. And before you know it, your inner world becomes a jungle of self-doubt, comparison, anxiety, overthinking. Not because you're weak, but because you haven't learned how to focus. Bennett believed the greatest skill anyone could develop was concentration, the ability to place your mind where you want it and keep it there. That's rare. That's powerful. Imagine if you could focus for just 20 minutes without drifting. What could you create? What could you heal? What could you build? The answer: everything. Let's try an exercise. Right now, close your eyes and try to think of absolutely nothing. No images. No sounds. No words. Just stillness. How long did that last? 5 seconds? Maybe 10? Exactly. The mind rebels. It wanders. It resists silence like a wild animal pulled from chaos. But the more you practice, the more you gain control. Not by force, but by awareness. So how do we train our minds? Bennett suggested this. Start with 10 minutes a day. 10 minutes of intentional thought. No phone. No distractions. Just you and one idea. It could be gratitude. It could be purpose. It could be a problem you're solving. Whatever it is, sit with it. Think deeply. Don't run. Don't scroll. Just think. That's it. And over time, your mental muscles grow. You become stronger, calmer, more powerful. Because while the world screams for your attention, you've trained yourself to listen to your own mind first. Here's a secret most people miss. The more control you have over your thoughts, the more freedom you feel in your life. You begin to notice when worry creeps in, and you catch it. You notice when comparison steals your joy, and you stop it. You stop reacting and start responding. That is true power. Not shouting, not proving, but sitting silently in the center of your own mind and knowing who you are. Let's reflect. Where does your mind tend to wander when you're tired or overwhelmed? What's one negative thought pattern you've noticed that you're ready to change? What would your life look like if you could focus deeply for 1 hour a day? Now, here's your challenge for the week. Choose a focus practice. Every day, for the next 7 days, spend 10 minutes practicing mental control. It could be mindful breathing, thinking through one big idea with no distractions, journaling your thoughts in silence, Reading a page with deep focus. Set a timer. Start with just 10 minutes. No judgment. No expectations. Just consistency. Because every time you train your focus, you're planting seeds of self-mastery. And when your mind obeys your intention, your entire life aligns. Final words from Bennett and from me. A controlled mind is a free mind. And a free mind? It creates. It heals. It leads. It builds. So take back your power, not with loud declarations, but with quiet discipline. Because when you can control your thoughts, you can command your time, you can command your habits, and eventually, you can command your destiny. Chapter 8. The Reflective Mood. Have you ever sat in complete silence? No music, no notifications, no voices around you. Just you and the sound of your own breathing. In that quiet space, something magical happens. Something rare in today's noisy world. You begin to feel. You begin to hear the truth that's been buried under deadlines, scrolling, stress, and noise. That moment of deep stillness? That's what Arnold Bennett called the reflective mood. And it's not just a luxury. It's a necessity. You see, most people are running from decision to decision, from task to task, from screen to screen. But they're not thinking. Not really. They're reacting. And reaction is not the same as reflection. Reaction is what happens when life controls you. Reflection is what happens when you take control of life. And that's what we're here to do. So let me ask you, when was the last time you stopped everything just to ask yourself, how am I, really? What do I want? Where am I going? No agenda, no judgment, just space. If it's been a while, you're not alone. We live in a world that rewards constant movement. But here's the paradox. The most important changes in your life will come from stillness. Bennett encourages us to take ourselves out of the crowd, out of the routine, and dwell quietly with our own minds. That's not selfish. That's sacred. That's self-awareness. That's how you stop drifting and start directing. And that doesn't require a fancy retreat or a mountaintop moment. It can happen anywhere, on your porch, in your car, at your desk, in the shower. Anywhere you make time for reflection, you make space for transformation. But most people resist this silence because silence reveals the truth. And sometimes the truth hurts. Maybe you realize you're not happy in your job, or you've outgrown your current routine, or you've been living for someone else's approval. That realization can feel uncomfortable. But discomfort is a doorway, and once you walk through it, you meet yourself on the other side. Let's talk about what reflection can look like in real life. It's not just sitting and thinking randomly. It's intentional inner inquiry. Here are a few powerful prompts. What am I avoiding right now that needs my attention? Is how I spend my time aligned with who I want to become? What am I grateful for but haven't acknowledged lately? What's one belief I'm ready to outgrow? Sit with these questions. Don't rush to answer. Don't try to fix anything immediately. Just listen. Let your heart speak. Let your intuition whisper. Because wisdom doesn't shout, it whispers in stillness. Bennett believed that daily reflection, even just a few minutes, was more valuable than hours of rushed productivity. Because in reflection, you realign. You remember your why. You reset your course. You reconnect to your purpose. Without reflection, you may climb the ladder of success, only to realize it was leaning against the wrong wall. But with reflection, you build with intention. You move with clarity. You choose your next step deliberately. And that's how masters live. Let's reflect now, together. When was the last time I gave myself permission to pause without guilt? What decision have I been postponing that I could bring into the light this week? What part of my inner world needs healing, and am I willing to sit with it? These questions aren't for fixing, they're for feeling. And in feeling, you'll begin to see the next right step. Now, here's your challenge for this chapter. Create a 5-minute reflection ritual. Every day for the next 7 days, find a quiet place. No phone, no noise, no pressure, just you. And a question. Light a candle if it helps. Put your hand on your heart, breathe deeply, and ask, what do I need to know today? Then listen, not to the world, but to yourself. Write down whatever comes up. No filters, no editing. This isn't a performance. It's a practice. And the more you do it, the clearer your life becomes. Let me leave you with this. The world is loud. Your soul is quiet. And you'll never hear your truth until you make space for it. So be bold enough to be still. Be brave enough to listen. And trust that the most powerful decisions you'll ever make won't come from pressure. They'll come from peace. Chapter 9. Interest in the arts. There's something inside you. Something that longs for more than checklists and bills. More than deadlines and duties. It's the part of you that craves wonder. That gets chills from a powerful song. That weeps at the final scene of a movie. That pauses in awe at a sunset. That still dreams in color, even when life feels gray. That part of you is your artist. And no, you don't have to be a painter or a musician or a poet. You just have to be human. Because every human heart holds the power to experience beauty. And beauty, when noticed, can transform an ordinary hour into a holy one. Arnold Bennett, with his usual grace, reminds us, it is not necessary to be an expert to enjoy the arts. It is only necessary to be alive. And yet so many people live without ever feeding that part of themselves. They say, I'm not creative. I don't understand art. I don't have time for all that. But here's the truth. You don't need to understand everything to feel something. You don't need to be an artist to live an artful life. You just need curiosity and a little time. Because when you make time for beauty, you make room for joy, depth, perspective, and wonder. And isn't that what we're all chasing anyway? Think of it this way. Life is not just about survival. It's about sensation, feeling, color, texture, emotion. The arts bring that back into your life. Whether it's watching a film that makes you cry, or reading a novel that makes your heart ache, or listening to a melody that speaks where words fail. These are not extras. They're essentials. They remind you you're more than a machine. You're a soul. And the soul speaks through story, rhythm, color, and image. Now here's the good news. You don't need a museum. You don't need money. You don't need talent. You just need attention. You can start right now. Listen to a piece of classical music for 5 minutes with your eyes closed. Look at a painting and ask, what does this make me feel? Read a poem aloud and let the words linger on your tongue. Watch a play, a documentary, a film that explores the human experience. Write your own thoughts like you're composing a letter to your future self. It's not about being impressive. It's about being inspired. And here's what's beautiful. The more time you spend engaging with the arts, the more you begin to see life itself as a work of art. You begin to notice the light filtering through your curtains. You find rhythm in the way you walk. You sense poetry in the way someone looks at someone they love. This awareness doesn't take more time. It just adds more meaning. And that is the entire point of reclaiming your 24 hours. Not to do more, but to feel more, to live more. Let's reflect together. When was the last time you consumed something artistic that moved you to tears or laughter? What kind of art stirs your spirit the most? Music, movies, books, visual art, dance? What would it look like to spend just 15 minutes a week feeding your creative soul? Remember, art isn't just something out there. It's something in here. And when you awaken that part of yourself, you awaken parts of your life you didn't even know had fallen asleep. Here's your challenge for this chapter. Create a beauty ritual. Pick one day this week, one quiet hour, and use it to engage with art. You can watch a film that tells a powerful human story. Read a book or poem aloud, slowly, intentionally. Visit a gallery or scroll through famous artwork online. Listen to music with your full body. Doodle, color, sketch, or just write what your heart feels. Whatever you choose, make sure this isn't passive. Be present. Be open. Let it move you. And then, write down what you experienced. Not as a critic, but as a human being reconnecting with wonder. Let me tell you why this matters so deeply. In a world where everything is measured, art reminds us that not everything needs a metric. Some things are worth doing, just because they make your soul come alive. And the more you give yourself permission to feel beauty, the more you become beauty in motion. So don't be afraid to fall in love with colors, stories, emotions, and sounds again. Don't be afraid to look at the world with childlike wonder, because beauty isn't reserved for the elite. It's a gift for the awake. And you're waking up. So allow yourself to experience this world in full color, because this is your time, and this is your masterpiece. Chapter 10. Nothing in life is humdrum. Let me ask you something real. Have you ever looked at your life and thought, it's just the same thing every day? You wake up, you go to work, you come home, you cook, you clean, you scroll, you sleep. And you wonder, is this all there is? But what if I told you, it's not your life that's boring. It's your attention that's asleep. And if you change the way you looked at your world, even the most ordinary routines could become sacred. Arnold Bennett makes a bold claim in this chapter. Nothing in life is humdrum unless you choose to see it that way. Let that sink in. Because we've been conditioned to chase novelty. New places, new things, new people, new distractions. But what if joy wasn't found in the new? What if it was hidden? Right here, in the cup of tea you hold in your hands. In the way sunlight hits the floor in the afternoon. In the conversation you've had 100 times, but never really listened to. In the moment you put your child to bed, or walk to the market, or fold your clothes with care. It's all meaningful if you choose to see it. Here's the deeper truth. The humdrum doesn't come from repetition. It comes from disconnection. When you stop paying attention, you stop feeling alive. But when you begin to notice again, the sacredness returns. You can brush your teeth with mindfulness. You can walk with gratitude. You can sit in traffic and turn it into a moment of reflection. You can cook dinner like it's an offering to your body and your spirit. It's not about what you're doing. It's about how you're being while doing it. Let's pause right now. Take a deep breath. Look around you. Wherever you are, there is life. Maybe you hear distant traffic. Maybe you smell food cooking. Maybe the air feels warm on your skin. These are not interruptions. They are your life. And when you learn to truly notice them, life stops feeling boring and starts feeling beautiful. Bennett challenges us to stop waiting for the big moments to feel inspired, because life isn't made of just big moments. It's made of small ones, stacked, repeated, folded into each other. And if you miss those, you miss your actual life. Not the one you post about, not the one you dream about, the one you live. So ask yourself, are you present for it, or are you rushing through it? Let me tell you a story. There was a woman who worked a job she hated. She took the same bus every day. She sat in the same seat. She stared at the same window. And she felt like her soul was withering. Until one day, she decided to change one thing, her awareness. She brought a journal. And every day on that bus, she wrote down 3 things she noticed. One day it was a child laughing. Another, it was the kindness in a driver's eyes. Another, the rhythm of raindrops on the window. She kept doing it. And within a month, the bus ride became her sanctuary, her creative hour, her daily miracle. Nothing changed externally. Everything changed internally. That's the power of attention. Let's reflect together. What parts of your life have you been rushing through on autopilot? Where have you labeled something boring that could actually become sacred if you saw it differently? What daily moment could you reclaim as a ritual, something ordinary turned extraordinary? Here's your challenge for this week. Create a mindful, mundane practice. Pick one routine that feels boring. It could be doing the dishes, folding laundry, walking to work, drinking your morning tea. Whatever it is, choose to fully be there. No distractions, no multitasking, just presence. Feel the water. Listen to the sounds. Notice your breath. Let gratitude fill you. And watch how a task you used to resent becomes a doorway to inner peace. Let me leave you with this. There are no ordinary days. Only days we live unconsciously. And the moment you return to awareness, you return to wonder. So open your eyes. Look again. Your life is not humdrum. Your life is not small. Your life is not wasted. It is a living, breathing masterpiece. And you are the artist. So paint each hour with presence. Because this isn't just about saving time, it's about seeing time for the miracle that it is. Chapter 11. Serious Reading as a Life Tool. Let's get one thing clear. If you want to change your life, you must change your input. And one of the most powerful ways to do that? Reading. Not just scrolling. Not clickbait headlines. Not empty words filling your screen. But serious reading. Focused. Intentional. Soul-feeding reading. The kind that doesn't just inform you, it transforms you. Arnold Bennett didn't see reading as a hobby. He saw it as a life tool, a way to unlock new dimensions of thought, insight, imagination, and power. Because when you read, you open the door to someone else's world, and that expands your own. Reading is time travel. It's mentorship from the dead. It's a private conversation with genius minds at your own pace. And yet so many people say they don't have time to read. But you and I know now that's not true. It's never about time. It's always about choice. Let me ask you, how many hours have you spent scrolling this week? How many shows have you watched without thinking? How many conversations have you had that drained instead of filled? Now imagine if just 30 minutes of that time was given to serious reading. Not fluff, not gossip, not fast dopamine, but something deep, thoughtful, layered. Imagine what that could do to your mind, to your heart, to your perspective. You'd start thinking differently, speaking differently, living differently. Because reading doesn't just add information, it rewires the way you see the world. Bennett believed that serious reading should be a part of your sacred hour, even if it's just 10 minutes a day. That time compounds. 10 minutes a day becomes 70 minutes a week, over 300 minutes a month, thousands of minutes a year. Now imagine what happens when you give your mind thousands of minutes with wisdom instead of distraction. That's how empires are built from the inside out. But let's be honest, we've been conditioned to read only when we have to. In school, for exams, for assignments. So as adults, we associate reading with obligation. But what if we reframed it? What if reading became your daily escape, your private growth lab, your quiet revolution? Not a task, but a treasure. Not a chore, but a choice to nourish yourself. Because the right book, at the right time, can alter the entire trajectory of your life. Let's break this down. How do you start building a reading habit? Here are 4 simple steps. Choose intentionally. Pick a book that resonates with your current season. Don't just read what's trending. Read what speaks to your soul or strengthens your skill set. Set a timer. Start with 10 or 15 minutes a day. That's it. No pressure to finish chapters. Just show up. Engage actively. Highlight. Underline. Take notes. Make it yours. Let the words interact with your life. Make it ritual. Attach your reading to a habit. After coffee. Before bed. During your lunch break. Create consistency. Let's reflect now. What's one book that changed how you think, feel, or live? When was the last time you read something that made you pause and rethink your whole perspective? What message do you need to hear right now, and which book might deliver it? If you're not sure where to start, here are a few timeless books that have transformed millions of lives. The Richest Man in Babylon, for timeless financial wisdom. As a Man Thinketh, for mental clarity and personal responsibility. Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, for calm and chaos. The Power of Now, for spiritual presence. Atomic Habits, for behavior change that sticks. Man's Search for Meaning, for perspective and hope. Think and Grow Rich, for wealth and mindset mastery. Start with one. Let it speak to you. Let it shape you. Now here's your challenge. Start your reading hour. This week, pick one book. Commit to reading 10 minutes a day. That's it. No pressure to be perfect. No shame if you miss a day. Just return. Each time you open that book, you open your mind. You escape the noise of the world and enter a world that feeds you. That's not small. That's revolutionary. And here's the final word for this chapter. If your mind is a fire, reading is the fuel. So don't let your fire go cold. Feed it. One page at a time. One idea at a time. One transformation at a time. Because in a world starving for depth, readers become leaders, not because they know more, but because they see more. And you? You are becoming one of those rare, awakened souls who chooses wisdom over noise. So read, and let your mind rise. Chapter 12. Thinking for Yourself. Let's pause the world for a second. Shut out the noise. Forget what everyone else is saying. Forget what the headlines scream. Forget the trends, the opinions, the algorithms. And ask yourself, what do I believe? Not what you've been told. Not what you've absorbed. Not what others expect of you. But you, raw, unfiltered, uninfluenced. What is your truth? Because if you want to reclaim your 24 hours, you must first reclaim your mind. Arnold Bennett didn't just want you to read more. He wanted you to think more. He said, thinking for yourself is one of the rarest and most essential practices of a fulfilled life. And he was right, because we live in a time where it's easier than ever to outsource your mind. Opinions are prepackaged. Beliefs are downloaded. Anger is contagious. And conformity? It's everywhere. But real power, real transformation, comes from independent thought, from looking at life with your own eyes, and not through someone else's lens. Let me ask you a hard question. When was the last time you changed your mind? Because you thought deeply, not because you were pressured? When was the last time you questioned your beliefs? Not to tear them down, but to understand them? When was the last time you asked, is this idea even mine? You see, most people are walking around with secondhand minds. They believe what their parents believed, what their friends post, what their favorite influencer says. But your mind? It's your sacred ground. And no one should plant seeds in it without your permission. Thinking for yourself doesn't mean rebelling against everything. It means reflecting before agreeing. It means questioning not to destroy, but to clarify. It's saying, before I believe this, let me explore it. Before I accept this routine, let me ask if it serves me. Before I follow this path, let me check if it leads where I want to go. That's not defiance. That's discernment. And in a world of echo chambers, discernment is a superpower. But here's what's tricky. We're rarely taught how to think. We're taught what to memorize, what to repeat, what's right and wrong. But thinking, that's a muscle you build. And it starts with asking better questions. Why do I do what I do every day? Who benefits from me believing this idea? Does this belief move me closer to the life I want or further away? These aren't rebellious. They're revolutionary. Because when you begin to think for yourself, you stop living someone else's story and you start writing your own. Let's get practical. How do you strengthen this part of yourself? Journal often. Use writing to untangle your thoughts. Ask yourself hard questions. Be honest. Be raw. No filters. Read widely. Expose yourself to different perspectives. Not just what you agree with. Stretch your mind. Sit in silence. Let your own voice be louder than the world's noise. Think deeply. Feel fully. Challenge your beliefs. Take nothing for granted, not even your most sacred assumptions. Test them. Refine them. And remember, changing your mind isn't weakness. It's wisdom. Let's reflect together. What's one belief I've held for years that may not serve me anymore? Where have I been thinking on autopilot instead of consciously? What area of my life could benefit from my full, undivided attention and honest analysis? Here's your challenge for the week. The one thought a day practice. Every day, write down one original thought. It can be about anything. A personal insight, a question about your life, a reaction to something you read, a contradiction you noticed, a moment that made you feel something real. Don't try to sound smart. Don't write for anyone but you. Just think and record. This one practice will sharpen your clarity, deepen your self-trust, and reconnect you with your own voice. And in a world drowning in noise, your voice matters. Let me leave you with this. The world does not need more followers. It needs more thinkers, more feelers, more quiet warriors who ask better questions and live better answers. So don't be afraid to pause, to question, to walk a different path, to say, this doesn't work for me anymore. You don't owe anyone blind obedience. You owe yourself the courage to choose your own mind and your own life. Because in the end, a free mind creates a free life. And that freedom begins with you. Chapter 13. Living Fully in 24 Hours. This is it. We've traveled through silence and structure, through books and beauty, through time and truth. But now, we come back home, to this moment, to this breath, to this day, because no matter what you've learned, no matter how inspired you feel, none of it matters if you don't live it. So here's the final question you must answer for yourself. How will you live your 24 hours starting now? Not tomorrow, not next month, not when life slows down. Now, because this isn't about theory. This is about transformation. And transformation happens when you decide to stop waiting and start living fully, intentionally, fearlessly. Arnold Bennett wrote this book over 100 years ago, but his message, it's timeless. He knew what we're only just starting to rediscover, that you don't need a new life. You don't need to move cities. You don't need to quit your job or win the lottery or finally get everyone's approval. You just need to see time differently, to value it, to honor it, to use it like it matters because it does. Your 24 hours are not just units of time. They are your life in motion. Let's be real. You won't use every minute perfectly. You'll still get distracted. You'll still have hard days. You'll still feel overwhelmed sometimes. But that's not failure. That's life. And living fully doesn't mean being perfect. It means being present. It means waking up and asking, how can I create something meaningful today? How can I return to myself when I drift? How can I show up with love, depth, and purpose right here, right now? That's the new standard. Not productivity, but presence. Not hustle, but harmony. Not more, but meaning. Let me bring this close. There will always be people who rush through life, who treat time like it's cheap, who stay buried in noise, who live on autopilot. But you are different now, because you've seen the miracle. You've remembered the truth. That 24 hours isn't a limit. It's an invitation to return to your soul, to your dreams, to your power, to your life. Let's make it practical right now. Step 1. Choose your sacred hour. Commit to it. Protect it. Love it. Let it be your daily act of self-respect. Step 2. Feed your mind. Read. Reflect. Think. Choose depth over distraction. Wisdom over noise. Step 3. Feed your soul. Engage with beauty. Laugh. Cry. Create. Let joy and pain both have space in your story. Step 4. Reflect daily. As Christian. Seek silence. Write. Breathe. Find clarity again and again. Step 5. Live like it matters. Because it does. You matter. Your time matters. Your presence changes everything. Let's reflect one last time together. If I died 1 year from today, how would I want to have spent my remaining days? What hour of my day will I now reclaim as sacred, and what will I do with it? What does living fully actually mean to me? Not to the world, not to society, but to me. Sit with these. Write them down. Let them shape how you walk out of this chapter, how you walk into the rest of your life. Here's your final challenge. Design your day, not by the clock, but by your values. What matters to you most? Put it on the calendar. Put it in your habits. Put it in your presence. No more saying, I'll do it when I have time. Say instead, I'll make time because this is who I am now. Let me leave you with this. The richest people in the world, the happiest, the most grounded, fulfilled, powerful souls, they aren't the ones who have more time. They're the ones who have more awareness of time. They wake up and say, this is my life. This is my gift, and I will not waste it. And now, so will you, because this is your hour. This is your day. This is your miracle. So go live it with courage, with clarity, with open eyes and an open heart. And if you ever forget, come back to this moment. Come back to these words. Come back to yourself. Because living fully isn't something you wait for. It's something you do. One sacred hour at a time. Final chapter. Take a deep breath with me. In. Hold. Out. You've made it. Not just to the end of a book, but to the beginning of something new, something real, something honest, something yours. Because this wasn't just an audiobook. This was a mirror, a map, a Kate voice reminding you, you already have what you need. You don't need to change everything about your life. You just need to change how you live your hours. Not next year, not next month, today. Because life isn't waiting, but neither is your power. So here's what I want you to remember as you close this chapter. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not too late. You are a soul awakening. You are a heart remembering what it feels like to care again, to dream again, to live again. And all it takes is 1 hour a day. One sacred hour to build, to breathe, to learn, to create, to reflect, to feel. It's yours now. So guard it, honor it, live in it. And when the world gets loud again, because it will, when the noise returns, when the distractions knock, when your old self whispers, it's easier to give up. Come back here, play this again, revisit your notes, reread your own words, because this message will still be true. Your 24 hours are your most valuable possession. Not your money, not your house, not your career, time. And you've been gifted a new way to see it. So now the question becomes, what will you do with it? Before you go, I want to thank you, not just for listening, but for choosing to listen, for showing up for yourself, for deciding that your life matters, that your time matters, that your story deserves more. If this audiobook touched you, if it opened your eyes, if it lit even a small fire inside of you, please consider subscribing to this channel so we can keep building this journey together, 1 hour, one step, one story at a time. And if you're ready for the next chapter of your growth, check the description below. I've added links to more powerful audiobooks, reflections, and resources designed just for you. You're not alone on this path. There's a whole world of us, people who are waking up, people who are taking back their power, their peace, their purpose. You're one of us now, and we're so glad you're here. Let me ask you, what's the one thing you'll do differently starting tomorrow? What hour of your day will become sacred to you? And most of all, what does living fully look like for you? Drop your answers in the comments. Let's reflect together. Let's inspire each other. Let's build a life, not just a schedule. This was How to Live on 24 Hours a Day, written by Arnold Bennett, brought to life for your soul, spoken into your heart, right here on Audiobook World. Thank you for spending this time with me. Now go and make it count, one sacred hour at a time.